Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief National Guard Bureau, General McKinley.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Great to kind of get a little more casual, a little more down to home. It was a great opening session today. Let's see, we got a few people milling in from the back. Networking taking place. Nancy, I know you feel better, right, after the break? Just a little eye to eye. I felt the same way. Hello, Ray. We could have 1,000 people up here in front of you, but we've got some of the finest stump the dummy guys in the world. We even have the president of the Adjutants General Association up here. So anything that goes to the state goes to Greg. That's the way it's always going to be. I've got about 5 minutes of just stuff, and hopefully this will work. If this doesn't work, this is really going to be for naught. If you guys could throw that picture up that I brought back from overseas. Is anybody in this room recognize that person? Anybody? No, it isn't me. Who's the guy I'm with? Anybody from Louisiana recognize the guy? Yeah? Is Elizabeth here? Where is Elizabeth? Right there. I was in Iraq last week, and I had a picture with one of the great guardsmen who I met, and I met a bunch of guardsmen, and it was great. Bud Wyatt's son-in-law, Steve Doohan's son. I mean, there's so many family members overseas right now. But I promised your husband that I would take a picture of him and bring it to you to say he's doing great, he loves you, and he wants to say he's ready to come home. And for all those in the Air Guard, that's the mighty Predator behind us. And that is an unmanned aerial vehicle now commonly referred to as a remotely piloted aircraft, right, Bud? Yes, sir. And you can't believe what great work that aircraft is doing. And all of us who grew up in a different age are wondering, you know, what the future of aviation is, but that's probably it. So that was in a hangar in Iraq. If you will just kind of watch the screen and listen if you want, or reminisce if you want, these pictures came from the family support folks overseas. And we're just going to run them on a timer. And if you see somebody from your state, somebody you know, just kind of see what the product is that you all are doing. The people that you send out the door are allowing us to do the things that you're going to see on the screen. And I know for all of us who've had a chance to visit the theater, it is very special. And Kirsten Wyatt in the front row here with Dr. Biden and Vice President Biden spent July 4th in Iraq visiting soldiers and airmen from the National Guard and others. So the Texas gang, we've got a due out from the Texas group to welcome that group home with the Vice President. So hopefully we can do that. But these are pictures that will go on throughout our conversation that just kind of shows you that at the other end of what you do are these great young men and women who are serving in the theater, producing the kinds of effects that our commanders need done on the battlefield. So with that, I'd like to let the bulk of our time go to questions and comments by our directors and by the president of AGAUS. So if there's a microphone that we could kind of pass down the row here, you're all hooked up? Okay. I'm going to start with Lieutenant General Bud Wyatt, the Director of the Air National Guard, just some opening remarks and comments.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I'll wait till this microphone gets working. Everybody hear me okay? It's on now. I'm Bud Wyatt from Oklahoma. My adjutant general is Major General Miles Deering, who's in attendance today. Thank you, General Deering, for being here. My governor is Governor Brad Henry, and I like to start most of my presentations that way because I think all of us recognize that we are guardsmen. We have state affiliations, and that's what makes this organization great. How many of you were in Dearborn, Michigan? Dearborn, Michigan last year. Okay, if you'll allow me a little personal time, I told a story in Dearborn about my granddaughter Sydney and how her father had mobilized twice, our son Colby, my wife Nancy here, who's already been introduced, and how Nancy, on the day that our son deploys, has a habit, kind of a family tradition of taking our daughter to, our granddaughters to Build-A-Bear. And a lot of you know what Build-A-Bear is, and our granddaughter dresses this bear that she builds on the day of deployment in combat uniforms. And she was disappointed last time because when her daddy deployed, the Army Guard had just transitioned into the digital uniform, and Build-A-Bear didn't have the digital uniform. And she said, as she was dressing the bear, I wonder what color my daddy's uniform will be the next time he deploys. Well, the sequel to the story is the next time for Sydney has come since the last time we were in Dearborn. My son Colby is a member of the 45th Infantry Brigade Combat Team, Oklahoma Army National Guard, and received notification since Dearborn that he'll be deploying for the third time in May to Afghanistan. And so, I watched Sydney, and it occurs to me that as we have raised a culture of warriors in the National Guard, as has previously been mentioned today, we have also raised a culture of warriors' children. And so I would ask that as we go through the few days, a little bit of time that we have to spend together here today, that we think about our warriors' children in addition to other family members, and try to fight against these continuous mobilizations becoming common or accepted or routine. Because I think if we allow these mobilizations, what we do to become routine, we don't give our families the focus that we should. We are in the midst, my family is in the midst of another mobilization. As General McKinley indicated, my son-in-law Brian Dreyer, member of the South Dakota Army National Guard, and my daughter Shelby, also a member of the South Dakota National Guard. Brian is deployed, and Shelby and Brian are parents of 3 children, and so Shelby is going through a kind of a difficult time being a member, full-time employee of the South Dakota National Guard with 3 children while her husband is deployed. I heard the comment that Lieutenant Colonel Harvey, and I can't recall your last name, Harvey, of South Dakota, asked about employers, educating the employers to the importance of letting family members attend in some of the pre-deployment and post-deployment programs that we have for our guardsmen, and bringing the recognition of employers that it's important that you give your spouse employee time to attend those. I would suggest that that needs to be done, but we also need to recognize that sometimes we ourselves, sometimes the National Guard is the employer. And so I think we need to take it upon ourselves to make sure that our house is right and that we are not asking our employers to do something that we as a National Guard employer is not required to do. So let's think about that as we figure out ways to better support our families. We have obviously pressures on the economy, and I frequently get asked this question as I'm out touring the wings and talking to airmen. As we look at the budget crunch, please tell us that the family support programs will not be subject to budget cuts. And at first blush, you would think, why would we cut the most important part of our combat readiness, the family support? But when you see the United States Air Force taking airplanes out of its inventory because of budget reasons, and when you think about the Navy and the Army force structure changes that, and the budget lines we all have to meet, I think we're naive if we think that our family support programs won't at least be looked at. So I think the challenge for all of us today is to make sure that we take those precious resources that are given to us and spend them responsibly, and make sure that when someone asks the questions, what return of investment, what bang to the buck do we get for that resource, we can answer that question with pride, with dignity, and we can show that the funds and the resources and the people that we have in our family support programs are the highest priority and should be the last programs that the military should take a look at cutting. Look forward to working with you this week. I've got to go back to D.C. to try to get some more of those resources, but Nancy's going to be here an extra day, and look forward to the discussions here in just a second. If you want to play Stump the Dummy, I can probably accommodate you pretty quickly with that part, so we'll see.